Learning to survive longer is essential for War Thunder Naval, as not only will you be able to participate more in each match and not pay repetitive visits to Davy Jones's locker, you will tend to deal more damage due to the amount of time you actually spend fighting. So this will be my improved and updated guide on how to improve your survivability in War Thunder Naval, and overall improve your experiences with the game mode itself. An easy one to start off with before even getting into the match is crew skills and modifications. Crew interchangeability is a wildly useful crew skill for Naval, as it increases the amount of crew losses you can take before your ship automatically starts sinking. There's also damage control skills like fire extinguishing, unwatering time, and breach repair that will decrease the amount of time it takes for your crews to perform these damage control actions. All of these can be boosted further by putting points into the leadership skill as well. For modifications, ammo wetting is a rank 4 skill that you should be rushing for immediately, as it reduces the chances of fires detonating your ammunition. Other skills like damage control division, fire division, shrapnel protection, and ventilation all help as well in terms of decreasing repair times and lessening your damage taken. Finally, it is worth mentioning that rudder replacement and all the modifications that affect your speed are extremely handy when it comes to your ability to dodge enemy fire, torpedoes, or even the occasional friendly ship collision. The other thing to check before you get into a match is your ammunition amounts. Reducing the amount of ammo on your ship will reduce both the hitbox of your magazines and various ammo storages, while also lessening the damage caused by things like shell room explosions or secondary ammunition explosions if an enemy does in fact hit them. There are charts available online to fully optimize your ammunition loadouts per ship, but personally I take just enough shells to get me through a match if I were to survive an entire time. I will, however, decrease these shells if I end up exploding constantly, especially if I do not have the ammo wetting modification researched yet. Once you do get into a match, your first priority for survivability should be avoiding taking any damage. By this I do not mean sitting as far back as possible and avoiding the fight, but rather using your rudder and speed controls to continuously jockey your ship around and make yourself a hard target to hit. The easiest targets in game are those who park their ship and sit still, followed closely behind by players who just sail in straight lines without changing their speed or heading. Randomly changing your speed, reversing suddenly, or making a turn could save you from a salvo that you never even saw coming your way, and will discourage players from taking shots at you. Speaking of which, you should also avoid tunnel visioning on one enemy or staying constantly in your gun sight. After you take a shot, look around. You should constantly be watching for salvos headed towards your ship, enemy ships that have gotten a little bit too close for comfort or have flanked you, or enemy torpedoes that are headed your way. Gaijin has made spotting the salvos headed your way easier, as they appear brighter than the other shells in the air, along with making all the torpedoes have a white trail behind them that you can spot from miles away and take corrective actions to dodge. The last thing I want to say for this is if somebody does decide to start engaging your ship, make them your priority rather than a target that isn't returning fire. Sinking those who are trying to sink you is one of the best defenses in the game, as long as you send them to the bottom first. If you do have to take damage, angling your ship and utilizing its armor is another great way to frustrate your enemies. A lot of players will sit broadside and let enemies take shots at critical components as they please, but many times you can angle your ship up and use its armor belt to deflect their damage. Even if you have to constantly swing your ship back and forth in order to bring your rear turrets to bear, baiting the enemy into shooting your belt armor rather than a weak spot on your ship will save you from having to repair massive damage or spawn an entirely new ship. The best thing to do with a new ship is to look at the armor viewer in the hangar and make mental notes of where your armor is the best or the weakest. This will allow you to play around those strengths while also avoiding the common traps of either engaging totally broadside and handing the enemy free damage, or pointing your bow directly at enemies with a ship that doesn't have great bow protection. Combining angling and the aforementioned evasive driving will make you an extremely frustrating target for enemies to deal with. Just be aware that tanking enough damage could result in your hull sections being destroyed, and enough of these being lost will result in your sinking. Watch your damage model, and if you do have a destroyed section, which does have a lot of armoring, try to take all the enemy fire onto that specific part of your ship so they can't destroy other sections. Lastly, I want to touch on damage control use, as this has changed massively since my earlier guide. There are two types of damage control systems in the game currently, one being the old manual style where you activate each damage control on its own, and a new default advanced damage control system that will activate all three depending on a priority system that you set. Personally, I prefer the manual style as you can mitigate some crew loss with it, but the advanced system will repair multiple damage problems faster than the manual one would. If you do decide to try the manual style for yourself, just be aware that activating multiple damage controls at once will increase their timers to double or even triple, so stick to just using one at a time. The other change that Gaijin made is that using damage control measures will no longer slow down other functions on your ships like reloads, so use them freely. For both styles of damage control though, the priorities for repairs are fairly similar. Fire extinguishing, especially fires in your main turrets or elevators, should be your absolute number one priority, as these fires can spread to your ammunition storage or magazines and quickly detonate your entire ship. Hull breach repair and unflooding should be your second priority, as these damage types got adjusted to have a lot longer times to fix and are a huge threat now. As an extra tip for this, when you do start to take heavy flooding, reduce your ship's speed or even stop in order to slow down how fast the water is entering your ship. It'll give you some extra time to recover and reduce the amount of time it takes to pump it all out. My last priority would be module repairs. Damaged modules cannot take further crew losses, so if you are under heavy fire and just trying to survive, you can tank a little bit of extra damage by not repairing right off. Just be aware that damaged or destroyed modules will affect your ship's performance in different ways, so repairs as necessary for your situation. If you aren't taking enemy fire, be sure to repair everything so that you don't get stuck with a longer repair timer during a later engagement. Hopefully this guide helps you survive longer in your naval matches and helps you get off that little bit of extra damage just because you're living longer. If you do have any questions on this, feel free to ask in the comments below, or join the Discord. We always have people around that are happy to help. Good luck out there, guys. I'll see you in the next one.